at Dwolla, we're a fintech company. We started as a scrappy startup, and we are here to represent technology and software and show that, yes, Iowa can have a successful tech company. And we don't have just one example, we have multiple examples. And I think that there's an enormous opportunity for Iowa to showcase the amazing talent and the amazing capabilities of what can be built within the Midwest. And so represent the technology space. Now, the vision for the future, we have so much to do, and I think that events like Monetary and other events where we talk about the challenges and we bring together the connective tissue of the different pillars of what brings together an innovation community is where we really have an opportunity to continue to grow.
Greg?
Good morning. I lead a $80 million venture capital firm located here in Des Moines, and so this morning's topic is near and dear to our heart. We wake up every morning, although not quite as early as this morning, trying to invest in innovative Iowa companies. And Catherine mentioned some statistics, and certainly Iowa does underperform the nation relative to our GDP in venture capital flowing into the state. But the truth is, so does the vast amount of the United States. 75% of venture capital flows into just 3 states, California, New York, and Massachusetts, and that leaves 25% for the rest of us. And so we're kind of in a bucket with the vast majority of the United States. There are certainly areas, though, in Iowa where we outperform the national average. And those 2 of those areas notably are in insurance technology investing and agriculture investing. And I'm seeing some statistics that show employment levels in those areas are 30% above the national average. And we're seeing it in new company formation and investment dollars flowing into those 2 sectors, both from within the state of Iowa, and we're seeing a lot of venture capital from out of the state flowing into those sectors. And perhaps we might touch on those a little bit later today. Megan?
Hi, so I represent Iowa Center for Economic Success, where our goal is to help people grow their wealth through business ownership and investment. So you hear a lot today about fintech and agriculture and insurance and all of those really important things. And our focus at the Iowa Center is to help those small businesses grow that make all those other companies want to come to Iowa. So the direct services, the retail, if you go up and down the East Village and Valley Junction and all of those places, that's because of organizations and efforts like ours. But we're also huge beneficiaries of the priorities of the state of Iowa. So we do micro-lending. We manage the targeted small business portfolio for the state of Iowa. Most of our clients come to us from banks. It's not as interesting yet to them to do a $50,000 high-risk loan to a small business. They send them to us and we're able to do that. And then we're able to blanket them with other services like helping them with their business plan and things like that. But we also go on the other side. We talk about the lack of access to capital, and part of that is because there's so much capital that is still in our bank accounts that's been locked down and isn't being released into the community. You look at how much wealth in our state that women actually control through earning or running the household or managing the household finances, but they're not investing it in the same way as their male counterparts. So we also manage an angel investing network that is made up of only female Iowans and helping to empower them to grow their wealth, not just to be philanthropic investors, but to be true investors. And so we're able to invest in companies from all around the world. Our portfolio is mainly made up of things like software and the healthcare, health innovation. But seeing those women around the table that are now engaging in releasing capital, and our hope is that will also contribute to shifting this story about not enough money going into businesses here in our state.
Geoff?
Thanks. When Chris asked what part of the ecosystem I represent, I suppose it's the blue suit corporate part of the ecosystem, looking up here. But so my background, I had the privilege in a previous role with the members group to be a part of the Series A with Dwolla, with Meridian Credit Union, and so I served on the board of Dwolla for a while. I came to Delta Dental of Iowa, and then also have been a part of the Global Insurance Accelerator for 5 years, and that startup, if you will. I think that we've made a ton of progress in 10 years, I think about it. So yesterday, the Global Insurance Accelerator just did our own internal ranking of the class that we'll bring here in 2019, which I won't release today, but we have a great class coming. And I think if you think about that, the types of companies that are applying to come to Dwolla are very different than they would have looked like 10 years ago when we made that investment, that $1 million investment into Dwolla. So I think that's a great thing as we're moving forward. I think the gap is that not only is there capital locked up in personal bank accounts, but I think there's capital locked up in corporate bank accounts. And if you think about the gap between sort of the angel investing, we have a really strong angel investing network here, and then the gap between how do you scale a company to get to the place where an institutional investor like Craig would come in and invest. We have a gap that we've got to overcome from a capital perspective to help these companies really scale. I think that's incumbent on credit unions and banks and insurance companies and other companies that have large balance sheets to be able to say, how do we make investments in startup companies, not from a philanthropic point of view, but from a product development, from a market growth perspective. And that's kind of what we're looking to do at Delta Dental of Iowa, is how do we engage in that community to make sure that we're actually helping to grow the ecosystem in that gap that I think we missed from a capital perspective.
Jeff, too.
Yeah, you have us sitting next to
I
each
know.
other.
It's going to be.
That'll be useful over time.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Geoff Wood. I have an organization called Gravitate Co-working, and as far as our place in the ecosystem, I think most visibly we're the platform where entrepreneurs and innovators can create. We have physical space, both here downtown and in Valley Junction, but we do a lot of entrepreneurial support as well, so we try to hit lots of pieces. We do the programming for the West Des Moines Business Incubator. We run a publication that just covers startup and innovative technology in Iowa called Clay and Milk. And we've been doing that in some function for about 5 years. I've been paying attention to this space about as long as Chris has, about 10 years ago. Got started with it. That infrastructure word that you mentioned, Chris, is probably my favorite word as we look back on those 10 years of where things have come. We've built up tremendous infrastructure for companies to succeed here, for people to succeed. We just need more people doing it. So that's more people coming here because we need bigger talent pools to fill the companies that start. That's more people taking the risk to leave what may be a successful day job to pursue what they're doing. It's more people buying the products from the companies that are here. It's all of those pieces of the ecosystem that get people going. So, and more investment. Craig's helped out a lot with that. So what I would say is, like, what can we do going forward? Like, universally, just more for our ecosystem.